Draft National Policy for Women 2016. This is one important essay on women issues in India. Women emancipation and empowerment have been a major concern for the government, and many programs are formulated quite frequently in our budgets. A broad national policy for women has been there since 2001, and the present central government has brought a latest draft national policy for women 2016. As said before, since 2001, when the last national policy for empowerment of women was formulated, the concept of women empowerment has seen many changes. Earlier, the women were considered as only the recipients of the welfare benefits, but now the emphasis is to engage them in the development process, and there should be welfare with the heavy dose of rights empowered to the women and the women groups. Now, Centre has come up with a draft national policy for women, and its main aim is to re-scripting the women's empowerment concept by following a socially inclusive rights approach. This, as said before, the new policy will replace the 2000 National Policy for Empowering Women, and it will reflect the social, economical and technological changes that have happened in the past 15 years. This policy is roughly based on the Ram Rajput Committee report that was set up in 2012, and it submitted its recommendation last year, and it suggested a national policy for women and an action plan to especially emphasizing ending violence against women. The policy also has tried to address this shift, and it will define the government's action on the women in the next 15 to 20 years. Now let us see the highlights of the national policy on women 2016. The broad objective of the policy is to create a conducive socio-cultural, economic and political environment that should enable women to enjoy de jure and de facto fundamental rights and realize their full potential. The policy envisions a society in which women attain their full potential and they are able to participate as equal partners in all spheres of life. It also emphasizes the role of an effective framework to enable the process of developing policies, programs and practices which will ensure equal rights and opportunities for women. The policy also describes emerging issues such as making cyberspace a safe place for women and redistribution of gender roles, for reducing unpaid care work, review of personal and customary laws which are in accordance with the constitutional provisions. There is also provision for a review of criminalization of marital rape within the framework of women's human rights, etc. And they will find a place relevant in the developmental paradigms also. Now let us see the priority areas in this national policy for women. Number 1 will be the health, that includes the food security and nutrition for not only all, particularly for the different groups of women. Focus in this would be recognizing women's reproductive rights, shift of family planning focus, and that should also include males, and addressing health issues in a life cycle continuum, and that would include a psychological and general well-being. It will also cover healthcare challenges related to nutrition, hygiene of adolescents, geriatric healthcare, expansion of the health insurance schemes, and addressing the overall intergenerational cycle of undernutrition. Education for women happens to be one of the biggest and primary area, and it should involve improving access to pre-primary education, enrollment, retention of adolescent girls in the schools, implementation of innovative transportation system so that it provides for a better schooling and also there is a provision to advocating gender champions and address disparities with regard to the information and communication technology. Women will have to find a big place in the economy and the development. Therefore, the policy emphasizes the need to raise the visibility and engendering the macroeconomic policies and trade agreements that involve women. For this purpose, there is a need to generate gender-based land and other database which would highlight the women's share and the women's ownership, and also it will involve the skill development among women, training for women, and entrepreneurial development. It will also review the labor laws, policies, equal employment opportunities, and also describe the benefits that are related to maternity, child care services, and address technological needs of women separately. Women need to take an active part in the governance and decision making at all levels. In this direction, there are already improvements seen in the Gram Panchayat level, that is the local Panchayat levels, where many women have become Sarpanch and they are heading the Gram Panchayats. The policy therefore emphasizes the increasing women's participation in general in the political arena, administration, civil services, and corporate boardrooms. The violence against women still continues to be a matter of concern. Therefore, the policy addresses all forms of violence against women through a life cycle approach, and also talks about legislations affecting or relating to women and which need to be reviewed and harmonized to enhance the existing effectiveness. And also the policy talks about improving a child sex ratio and the strict implementation of advisories, the guidelines, the standard operating procedures, and the protocols, especially concerning the prevention of trafficking at source, the transit and the destination areas for effective monitoring of the various networks. The policy talks about overall enabling environment which should strengthen the women empowerment and women emancipation. Therefore, the gender perspective in housing and infrastructure has been emphasized, and also there is emphasis on the ensuring safe drinking water and sanitation, in the gender parity in the mass media, in the sports, and also calls for a concerted efforts towards strengthening social security, support services for all women, especially the vulnerable, marginalized, migrant, and single women. The next important issue is the environment and climate change, how it is affecting the women population and how women can be the focus of these concerns. The policy addresses the gender concerns during distress migration and also displacement, that is at the time of natural calamities due to climate change and environmental degradation. There is also need for promotion of environmental friendly, renewable, non-conventional energy, green energy sources for women in rural households. The provision of the gas cylinders in the rural areas that has been the talk of the media recently is one effective step the government has taken in addressing the women concerns. Now, what are the operational strategies? The National Policy for Women aims to create an enabling environment through continued and additional initiatives and incentives. For example, it involves enabling safety and security of women. It will have initiatives such as one-stop centers, women helpline, Mahila police volunteers, reservation for women in police force, creating an immediate response to the mechanism through panic buttons in mobile, the public and private transport, surveillance mechanisms in public places, etc. The operational strategy also aims at creating ecosystems to encourage entrepreneurship amongst women. It includes opening up platforms like Mahila E-Hut, and which is a dedicated theme-based exhibitions, and there would be focus on skill training, and there will be monitoring through Women Entrepreneurship Council and availability of easy and affordable credit for financial inclusion of women. Further, the training and capacity building of all stakeholders, which includes youth through gender champion initiatives, frontline workers, women sarpanches, and all official dealing with policy and delivery systems that impact women would be the highlight of this policy. The policy also aims to facilitate women in workplace. That is to be done through gender-friendly workplace, flexi timings, increased maternity leave, provision of child care and creches at workplace, and also life cycle health care facilities. Therefore, to summarize and conclude, the National Policy for Women aims to create a sustainable socio-economic political empowerment of women to claim their rights and entitlements and exert control over resources and formulation of strategic choices in realizing the principles of greater gender equality and justice. This policy has been hailed as a progressive document in tune with the times, but the challenge will be there, and the challenge will be to bridge the gap between the policy and the implementation. There is a considerable emphasis on the conditions of single women that has been given in the policy, and also on the migrants and the elderly in this draft document. Now, one of the blatant realities of India today is that the lives of large number of women continue to be governed by patriarchal structures rather than the law of the land. Their freedom to study, love, marry, work, give birth, divorce, remarry, and resist abuse, etc., are all governed by family and social mores. The policy, therefore, pins its hope on a gender sensitization to remove such things from the families, from these earlier traditional patriarchal moorings. Now, as you may be aware, the triple talaq issue is in the media and also in the parliament discussions, and hopefully this will be one of the measures as a part of the women emancipation in this context. Many social scientists, however, feel that the policy does not offer many insights into the future challenges. Therefore, it runs the risk of being outdated even before it is prescribed a roadmap for the next 15 or 20 years. Those challenges are characterized as emerging issues in the policy document, for example, like cybercrime. This policy also notes that the cybercrime and harassment of women through mobile phones and social media is on the rise, but the regulatory framework has not kept pace with the technological changes that are taking place. But ever since the Section 66A of the Information Technology Act was scrapped, the Communications and Information and Technology Ministry has, however, failed to combat the growing menace of the online trolling because it is viciously has targeted the women.